Howdy, Beaverly Bard here, and welcome. Kind of felt in the mood to do a little bit of live streaming today, so um, here's what I'm going to go ahead and cover. And as you see, um, the last video I did was about the Synty Studios Polygon Assets. I really like them. I've got most of them, like I said, but what I wanted to do in this one is say if you're going to get any two of them to get started with, I would say go ahead and get the City Pack and the Heist Pack. That'll be the crack to really sew it in to where you really fall in love with them and get going with them. The dungeon one is awesome, and the pirate one is awesome. They're great, but city and heist packs are the two, the feeders that'll get you in and really get you hooked on them. Still have linked in the description the link for the project that I did that just showcases what they look like on the inside. So feel free to download that, check it out, and see what's what. But I figured today in this video, what I'd go ahead and do is I've set up a brand new project, and I've included the Polygon City and the Polygon Heist packs, which, like I said, is probably the best two to get started with. If you're going to get one, get both. They're both worth it and both worth having. Um, oh, yeah, with these are the Synty Studios Polygon City and the Polygon Heist. So those are the two that I suggest going with first. But what I want to do is to get started with is my usual thing is I want to come over here to my content folder, and I like to clean things up, and I want to make an asset folder. And inside the asset folder, I want to go ahead and create the usuals. I want to go ahead and create a texture. I want to create a blueprints. I want to create a materials. I'm not even looking at the spelling of them. And let's go ahead and do a audio folder. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something here, and I'll come back to it. Audio, materials, textures, blueprints. Yeah, we'll catch up on those. Then I want to go ahead and create a characters folder because I don't like using the third person example. Get in the habit of doing it this way. So what I'm going to do is come over here to the content again and create a new folder called characters. And inside it, I want to create one called mesh. That's what I forgot on my assets, I believe. Yep, I did put a mesh folder in. Something definitely want to have, but we'll get back to that. So in the characters folder, we have mesh, and we want to have a blueprint. We want to have textures. Right now, all we're really going to need is the mesh and the blueprints, but I just like to get in the habit of making these in case we need them. So since we're going to do these, and what we're going to do is, in the Polygon Cities, as soon as you click on the root of that, go into your meshes, go into your characters, and you have your skeletal meshes, your physics actors, and you have all these characters bound into one skeleton, which is cool. So we can actually open up here. Let's open up the female police officer. Open it up, and there she is. Nice little T-pose. That's lovely. We need to know that they are in T-pose because we're going to retarget everything. And then also in the Polygon Heist meshes and characters, here you've got the female FBI character. Now these characters here, the ones with the overalls, and pretty much the female and male FBI character and the SWAT character. It appears he's missing bones. Yeah, we're not really worried about that. It's giving me an error saying that his skeleton's missing bones. I'm not even worried about it. But they're also in the T-pose. What I was going to say about the other characters is when you look at them, the backs of their heads are missing. So, yeah. They're meant to use other pieces parts, which can be found in the items, like the hair for men and for women, so you can actually choose those separately. I'm going to skip these characters. I'm not going to mess with them for right now just because, well, you know, I can always convert them later if I want to. So the only characters I'm going to convert out of the Polygon Heist is going to be the female FBI, male FBI, and the SWAT character. But what I want to do is, let's go ahead and hit save all because it doesn't like that skeleton. I'm actually going to make my own skeleton. I'm going to go into the Polygon City, go into the characters folder. I'm going to grab the SK character city rig. That's the actual skeleton. And I'm going to left click and I'm going to drag it over to the mesh folder and copy here. Now I'm going to go into it and then I'm going to hit F2 and I'm going to rename the skeleton. And what I'll do is I'll rename the skeleton to Polygon Skeleton. And that's good enough for me. Go into it, take a look at it. It's already set up for a humanoid rig. That's fine. But you see, there is nothing here. So we need to make sure that's going to work. So what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to the characters folder for the Polygon City. I'm going to left click and then control left click on all of the skeletal meshes for all of these characters. So now I have all the, and that's the pink bars. That's the only one that I want to worry about. And I'm going to go ahead and right click on any of them, go to skeleton, assign skeleton, and I'm going to select my Polygon skeleton that I created just a few minutes ago, hit accept, do it again for the next character, do it again for the next character. You're going to have to keep going until you get to the end of them. If there's any missing bones that aren't compared back and forth, you'll see them coming up as missing. And then when you click on the next, you'll see here soon, when we get to one that has that you can add those into your existing skeleton that you created. It shouldn't be a problem because all of these are already set up off of the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and do save all. Now if I go back to my mesh folder, look at my Polygon skeleton, now there's a character there. And I'm going to go ahead and change that to, I don't know, businessman suit. And I'm going to apply it to asset. So all this is still good. Everything's good to go. We're going to save and close that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I no longer need the skeleton that was in here. So I'm actually going to delete that skeleton. I don't need it. So I can close up Polygon City for the moment. Come down here to the characters from my Polygon Heist. And I'm going to grab the skeletal mesh for my female FBI, male FBI, and my male SWAT. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to right click, go to skeleton, assign skeleton, go to Polygon skeleton, and you see we got a bunch of missing bones on the IK. Not a problem. I hit escape, and there they are. They're already pre-selected. Click OK, and it adds them to my skeleton. So I can do the same thing again for here. And then when we go to this one, it should be, the SWAT guy. So it's missing the socket for his glasses. So there, this will let me add that socket in there, and that takes care of the problem. I can save all, and that's all done. I'm not going to delete this high skeleton yet, in case I want to go ahead and convert these other guys over. It'll be boring for everybody to watch, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use them anyway. But, oh well. Let's go back to our mesh. Open it up. And there we go. We got our guy. The next thing we want to do is we want to give him some animations because, well, he doesn't have any. So what I'm going to do is go to the mannequin folder. And I'm going to go to animations. And there we go. We need an animations folder here in our characters folder. So I'm going to make that one called animations. And I'm going to make another folder inside there called unarmed. So we're going to make this set of animations is an unarmed animation set. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on my third person animation blueprint, Oh, nope. There's something we got to do before that. We got to open up our characters, go to our mesh here, and open up our skeleton. Now, the first thing we need to do is change the select rig to select humanoid rig. And keep in mind, remember our polygon characters are in a T-pose. So you click on the upper arm and you want to rotate that up 50 degrees. Do the same thing for the other arm. And then on your lower arms, go back 30. You may have to make some changes to it later, but that's easy enough to fix. So we're just trying to straighten out the arms and get them into a T-pose. And then we can do modify pose and use current and then save. Now if we go to our animation folder, we can right click on third person animation blueprint, retarget, duplicate animation blueprints and retarget. And now we're going to select our polygon skeleton. They're both in T-poses. I probably could lower the arms a little bit, but this will work anyway. I'm going to put in the replace section right here. Third person underscore and hit tab, and I'm going to call this unarmed underscore. So we're going to take out that third person under the animation blueprint, and then we're going to go ahead and change the folder we want it to go to. Our character animation unarmed, select OK and retarget. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit save all. And there we have our animation blueprint, our blend space, and our animations already set up. And if we do our third person idle, there we go. She's doing the third person idle just lovely. And let's look at the jump loop. We're going to look at all of them really quickly. Jump start. Everything looks pretty good. Not bad. Third person walk. Feet are a little bit close together. So let's actually look at that really quickly. All I did here was I hit the pause button and I'm going to scroll back to frame 1. And the feet being that close together, it's really not that big of a problem. But we can grab that lower leg or the calf if we wanted to go from there. And you could manipulate it there. It would probably go for an upper thigh. You can do that as well. And you can change it. You can do whatever you want. If you do decide to make any changes, then I wouldn't do much. I would actually uncheck the snapping for the rotation and only do a small amount. And if you're happy with the way the leg is sitting right now, for the walk animation, you can hit key and apply, and now hit play on your animation. It's not bad. I think I should move that lower leg out just a little bit. So I'm going to pause it one more time, scroll back, and I'm going to grab that lower leg, which is the calf R, and I'm just going to pop it out just a hair. Again, just key and apply, run the animation. A little better. They're not kicking their feet together. So, nice and easy. You can skip that step. Make sure you hit save. If it's not a problem, then don't worry about it. But that's good. So those animations are good to go. So now, in our third person map, the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of our third person character. We don't need you. We don't like you anymore. This little rotating doohickey, get rid of you. And get rid of this big old third person right there. And the spherical reflection capture, I don't like you either. And our light, we're going to keep you, but we're going to throw you on the ground because I don't want to look at you. And grab you, and we're going to throw you on the ground just because I don't want to look at you. And we're going to go ahead and save all. Now, let's go ahead and go to our third person BP. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my third person character and I'm going to put that into a copy into my blueprints folder for my character. Go back in there and I'm going to hit F2, call this player base, or I've actually started doing this differently now, PC underscore master. So it's a player character master. And then we want to go ahead and get rid of our, well, a few things. I don't use touch input. If you do, leave it. I don't, so I'm getting rid of it. Game input, gamepad, I don't use a gamepad. I'm too old for that. I'm not using VRs. I don't need you either. I like to have clean blueprints and a bit more organization. So I just move things around, get them a little bit neater, and get them to where I like them. And that's going to be good enough for you and good enough for you. Now, let's just clean that up a little bit. It's not necessary, but I like to do that. And the next thing we want to do is compile and save. Go to our viewport, click on our mesh. We want to change our skeletal mesh. Let's be the male police officer. And then we want to select our animation class as our unarmed animation blueprint. Hit compile and save. And now we are this dude. Throw that over in that tab. Now what I need to do is go to my world settings, game mode override, third person game mode. Select a game mode. We want to change our default pawn class to PC master. And now when we hit play, we are this dude. We can walk around, we can jump, we can do all the things that we normally can do. So that's awesome. Now, what if you want to actually do some combat stuff and you want to do some shooting? To get started with, you're going to need a little bit of extra time and a nice cold beverage. Orange Crush, by the way. I don't drink. All right. Do have a drinking problem. I just spilled some. What about the animation starter kit? Wrong one. Click on this one right here. Scroll up to my list. And I'm going to add the animation starter pack to this project, so we can complicate things a little bit more. So I'm going to add that to my project, and it's going to bring in a whole new player character, a whole new set of animations with crouching, and oh god, there's so much more stuff in here. But if we actually look at what this animation blueprint is going to do for us, it's going to give us, primarily from this animation blueprint, the character is going to be carrying a long gun from the hip. So starting with that, we're going to allow our character to switch over to a weapon. So as we're walking around with no weapon out, we're going to be doing the unarmed. And as soon as we draw our rifle off of our back, then we need to go into a armed animation blueprint. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and we know that we have this animation blueprint works, and it came with its own player character. So what you got to look at is it uses a different style jump. So you have to take into account the way that they have this one set up. And you see the blueprint is not going to work because we don't have input action crouch. So we need, first off, go ahead and go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, Action Mapping, hit the plus, and we want to do crouch, and then open this back up because you're a pain in the ass. Go into here, and we want to go to the keyboard, and we're going to hit the C key, and that will be our crouch key. Now if we try to compile and save, that works. How about that? You give us an animation kit that's broken right out the bat. So I want to use this in my player blueprint, so I'm going to copy that and go to my event graph here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. So now our player is going to be able to crouch soon. Not yet, but soon. Technically speaking, it would probably be better for us to modify this or just use their existing, but I don't want to. Their movement input should be the same as our movement input. So this should be the same as this. So we don't have to worry about that part. Mouse input. Well, is that the same as what we have over here? It should be. So what is going to be different is the jump. And we don't have these two variables, so don't worry about that just yet. I'm going to grab this whole section right here, Control C. That's all that's in here is just that. So I'm going to come back over here to mine, and this is our jump. So we can technically get rid of that. Dump that out, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste the new one in. Now, it's going to give us an error, which is fine. Here's a quick fix to that error. So if we hit compile and save, we don't have that variable. So all I have to do is right click on there, create variable, and then hit compile and save, and set crouch button down. Well, we don't have one of those either. Well, guess what? Right click on it, create variable, compile, save, and those variables are fixed. So our crouch should work and our jump should work. So here's what I want to go ahead and do next. We need to, and we're going to have to do some other fixes along the way here. It can be a pain in the butt doing this, so you really have to know what you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and inside my animation I want a folder called rifle_hip. Then come back to my animation starter pack, scroll down, and right click on the animation blueprint, retarget. Can't retarget it yet because guess what? This is a whole new skeleton that they included in here. Another copy of the same UE4 mannequin. Interesting, but okay. If you started with an empty kit and then you added this in, then you would have a character to work with. But since I started with a third-person character example, then it ain't gonna work. So select humanoid rig. Again, grab the upper arm, rotate it. Yep. Control Z, turn on my snapping again, so I can bring it up 50. Bring the other one up 50. Lower arm back 30. And lower arm back 30. Now modify pose, use current, and save. I can close that down. I can close you down for right now and you down for right now. And then we can go back to our animation starter pack, go to our third person animation blueprint, retarget, duplicate and retarget, select our polygon skeleton. They're both on a T-pose. Lovely. Let's get rid of all this extra garbo here, which is UE4 ASP underscore hero underscore TPP underscore anim. Now we can leave the anim in there. Ugh. But whatever. Okay. We're just going to change this to rifle underscore hip underscore. Change our folder. See, this is really, really easy. We're not done yet, but it's really, really easy. Select our folder, which is our characters, animations, rifle hip. Click OK and retarget. So now it created a blueprint for us in our folder, and it still freaking called it what I told it not to call it anyway. And I don't like that name, so I'm going to rename it any damn way. We're going to call this rifle hip underscore ABP, Alpha Bravo Papa, animation blueprint. There's going to be some issues we're going to have to fix right off the bat. So we go into that animation blueprint, and what we're going to have to look for is references to not cast a character, but cast to UE4 ASP character. We're not using that character anymore. So we're going to have to replace that reference. And our player, if you don't remember, is called PC underscore master. So what we need to do here is I'm going to drag this out of the way so I can see that we had our link coming from try get pawn owner and links going out from here to here, and we can see where everything goes. So what I want to do is right click and cast to PC master, and now I want to come from my calculate direction, and then I want to come from the try get pawn owner to connect to my object. And since I can't use these two, I need the same thing, but I need it from the actual PC master. So I'm as PC master, not as master, but PC master. We want to get jump button down, and we want to connect that to can jump, and we can actually get rid of that since we've already replaced it. And then as PC master, we want to get crouch button down. So now we got that. We know that we need to connect that to crouching, and then we can get rid of that guy. We know that this now connects over to here to the sequence node, and that finishes up getting rid of it from there. So that should take care of that portion. But if we scroll down a little bit, look, we've got another reference right here. So we need to cast to PC master, connect it off of that set right there, connect it to that set, and blue lead to there. Well, we can't, because that actually belongs to that guy. So let's bring this up and set jump button down, then connect those two. And that didn't connect to anything at all. So we can just drag this out of the way, grab our try get pawn owner to go to here. And now we don't need these two anymore, so we can delete that. Bring that up, and we're golden. So, is there any other references anywhere else? Nope, that's it. So let's try to compile and save. Now, that should take care of our jump mechanism here with what we changed in our player character. And this is going to handle our movement for our direction and speed. And that's going to handle pretty much what we need. So we may have some problems, but we'll troubleshoot that and fix that as we go. See, it's not that difficult, but it does take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. We know that if we go in here and play, we can still jump. Everything is still working. But we can't crouch yet because we're not using that animation blueprint. We don't have that ability just yet. That's not built into our unarmed animation blueprint. Oh, goodness. So let's take a look at our animations and our unarmed and our rifle hip. Let's open up all of those. Let's compile and save. So we got everything saved. I'm going to open up the rifle hip, and I'm going to go back over here to my unarmed, and I'm going to open that one. So our unarmed, this is what we have, and I'm going to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to get rid of their caption boxes, and just because I got to have things a little bit cleaner, a little bit neater and easier to pick up on. So that's just me being me. So, is it necessary? Yes and no. But it's a lot more compact and it's easier to trace out and for me to see. Alright, so we got that, and I'm going to go ahead and compile and save. And let's look at this guy. So we want to look at our crouching. Our crouching is picked up underneath this part. Here, crouch button down, set is crouching. But we're not going to have that variable in the other one. So, let's take a look and see if it's worth going through all this to begin with to actually use both animations. And it is yes and no. If you're running around not armed, then okay, whatever. We're not worried about crouching. So let's actually not worry about that just yet. I'm trying to blend the two together. So let's actually see what happens when we go into a combat mode, and we can change our animations in at that point. So let's go back to our character, our player master, and let's set up another key binding here. And let's set up a key binding for right click to go into combat mode. Not sure where I saw that from, but I saw it in some lovely little asset pack somewhere that where you right click, you go into combat mode. Yeah, whatever. We'll just do that for now. So I'm going to go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, Action Mapping. I'm going to add 2 of them, and we're going to add one called Primary Fire, because we're going to need that later anyway. And we're going to use that as a mouse button. And we're going to add one more, which is Combat Mode. And this is just a very simple thing. Right mouse button. Okay, so here's what we want to do, and that's just so I can quickly go back and forth between them. We'll come over here, and let's go to combat mode. And when we press that right mouse button to go into combat mode, I'm actually going to set up a flip-flop and let it cycle back and forth in between. And then on that flip-flop, when we press the button the first time, the right mouse button the first time, what we want to do is we want to set animation instance class, or anim instance class. And I don't like this pigtail just flying all over the place. We're going to set our animation class to our rifle underscore hip animation blueprint. And going to do something else with that here in just a minute. But when we hit our button again, we want to... Actually, I'm going to go ahead and Control C and Control V, connect that to here. And I'm going to go ahead and connect my mesh to the target. And I'm actually going to change this one over to unarmed animation blueprint. So this will let us toggle between the two animation blueprints. We're going to have to make some changes to it here in just a second, but let's go ahead and play. So as we're running around, everything's normal. I can jump, I can run, I can look around, check myself out. I right click, and now I go into that mode where I can actually hold my weapon and I can jump. It's kind of a funky looking jump, but there, I'm holding my rifle from the hip and I can shoot even though I don't have a rifle in my hands. And then I can right click again and go back out of combat mode and go back into first person mode. So I can walk around and be all polite and happy. Oh, you want to start something? Bang. Bang. There you go. So that's how you can quickly switch between two different animation blueprints. But while I got my gun out, you know, I'm in combat. I got to be able to crouch. Well, I don't want to toggle. I don't want to have to hit the button every time I want to crouch. I want to hit it one time to crouch and then hit it again to uncrouch. So let's go ahead and look at that feature. And we had our crouch, input action crouch. So we just want to make a little bit more room there. Come in here. Let's make this into a flip-flop. And a flip-flop is a whole lot more than just some stylish footwear. You know, I had to make that joke at least once. Shut up, I'm old, I'm entitled. So now, whenever I hit it the first time, it's going to set the crouch button down, which is going to let me crouch. And then whenever I hit it again, it's going to uncrouch. Alright, so let's compile, save, play, and I hate this stupid mouse button thing. There is a way to disable it, but I always disable it anyway. There, I can toggle crouching up and down. If I'm already crouched and I right click, it throws me back up into a normal standing position and takes me immediately out of it. So this all works. The way I get rid of that is I put other functions into my blueprint, a level blueprint, and I want to always ensure that no matter what, if I forget it somewhere else, I can do... Okay, there is nothing in here. There's usually something in the event graph. Event, begin play, and from that I want to go ahead and do set input to game mode only. So in case I forgot it somewhere else, this is going to let me automatically put myself back into that mode. And we want to get our player controller, and I'm just going to drop that in here and set show mouse cursor, leave it unchecked so there is no mouse cursor. This is also where I come in here and add background sounds and music and stuff like that, but I don't have starter content. So now when I go in to play the game, I don't have the mouse cursor to deal with. I can go ahead and just start moving as soon as I go in. Oh, combat mode, boom, crouch walk, combat mode. We're awesome, right? Okay, no more combat, we're free. So if we wanted to add it to where you don't have this mode, where you can mouse around and take a look, you don't need third person. We can switch out of third person if we want, but if we want to be fixed into a, whenever I turn the mouse this way, it actually turns the character as well. You can change that by, when you're in this mode right here, and I'm just going to push these a little bit closer together to get them nice and pretty. If you look at it, stuff like follow camera uses pawn control rotation. It doesn't use it, but if we wanted to use it manually, then what we can do is when we go into our combat mode, we can use pawn. Let's see, pawn. I can't spell. And it is not wanting me to do, it's not pawn control rotation. It's use controller rotation yaw. Yeah, feeling kind of stupid on that one. Use controller rotation yaw, and it's a set node because it's a Boolean. So yes or no question. Control C, Control V. And what we want to do here is when we go into that mode, we want to use it. When we go out of that mode back to unarmed, we don't want to use it anymore. So let's compile, let's save, and play. I can pan around, I can look at myself, see how awesome. Ooh, hello. Yeah, I want to look at this crotch. But now as soon as I go into right-click mode, bam, it snaps. And now whenever I turn my mouse, it's actually turning the whole entire character. I don't actually like it, but if you're going to use this and have a third-person shooter and a fixed crosshair system to where you can fire bang, 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 and do what you got to do, but now when you right-click to get out of combat mode, you can go back to being happy and take a look at yourself, see how awesome you are, right? So this was the ones from the city, but what if we don't want to be that guy? We want to be that really cool FBI guy or the SWAT guy. Since we combined all the asset packs into a single one, adjusting the capsule of it, it does, and it needs to, because what happens is occasionally what you're going to run into is the capsule collision or the capsule component is actually sized wrong and is too high, and whenever you try to use it with one that has this number wrong, I won't mention what asset pack that I got, that the capsule half height was set to 100, and it wouldn't allow me to walk through a normal doorway, so I had to come in and modify that, and then as soon as you modify it, if you do it wrong, your feet go through the ground. So yeah, going through this route, this actually keeps the capsule half height, which seems to work pretty well for these guys. And I'll throw a door frame up and show an example of it. But yeah, the capsule shape is right, and it doesn't cause you to have to manually move this, because if you try to move your mesh to compensate for that, then it doesn't always work. I lost my train of thought. Oh, we're going to change our mesh. So since we put everything on one skeleton, it doesn't matter which asset pack I go to. Like, here's the SWAT guy. He's from the Polygon Heist pack. So we have our... I'm actually going to go, because it's a little bit dark and too difficult to see here. So I'm going to go with the FBI, not FNI, but the FBI even. And we're going to go with the male FBI character. We're going to be him. But see, I changed the skeletal mesh, but I didn't have to change the animation blueprint because they're all on one skeleton and all on one animation system. It makes working with these so much easier. Oh yeah, the crouch. Yeah, it works for the most part. So for most instances, when you go in here to actually play, you come in here and right click. I see. I'm not a fan of the control rotation myself, but I'm gonna leave it on just for the sake of it. So as you're running around, I could convert the crouch over and make it work. If you wanted to get into doing that, then we can look at that in another time, because when we look at the animation blueprint, you go into not into the event graph, you want in your anim graph. You look, you got a crouch from idle and crouch from walk. So you're going to have to set up all of that, and you're going to also have to set up all of this and pretty much recreate this entire thing instead of what you already have, just so that you can use crouch with the other one, and you can set up your own to let it go into crouch. This one's not bad. Use standard speed and direction and crouching and so forth. The one thing I did find, that if you look at the standard UE4 animation blueprint, and it's really a pain in the butt. You go to the anim graph, go inside your state machine. When you're going from jump start to jump loop, or from jump end to back to idle run, where the hell do you find that? Where do you find third person jump _ start asset? Time remaining ratio. Yeah, I do agree, John. Yeah, it does stay the same thing. It doesn't and doesn't. You can. I've had issues where when you jump onto a window ledge, you can't crouch and go into a window, but I've been able to get around that in the crouch mode. For some reason, it seems to work. It lowers the capsule. I was going to grab a door frame. It's not in that. It's in geometry, meshes. No, it's in starter content. Yeah, yeah. I need starter content, as much as I hate doing it, because if you add starter content in and you're trying to pack the thing up, it's 700 megabytes worth of junk just for adding in by doing this. Add new, add feature or content pack, starter content, just so I can get this little bit of geometry right here. Really, all I ever use it for is for the sounds whenever I don't want to put my sound pack in yet. But as the example I was going to look at was the wall door. And we're going to go ahead and go back to our details panel, rotate you 90 degrees. And we're just going to put you next to the stairs just for the heck of it. A typical set of stairs, whenever you're setting up a BSP geometry, when it starts out at 200 wide, and it doesn't really matter here, I'm just trying to set it up as an example. whenever I'm normally setting up a doorway, I usually have the width of my doorway set to around 120 wide by 200 high. The standard UE4 mannequin stands roughly 200 tall. So you see, like right now, I cannot get into the stairwell because the capsule, like what we're talking about in chat there, is too high. It's preventing me from getting in there. So I can't, even though my head has a foot of space above it, I can't get in here because of that capsule. So that's something to take into account, is either you have to modify your character and your capsule or whatever, or just give a little bit of room between your door and where you're going for your stairs. I don't normally use any of these geometries here. I use my own BSP geometries. Like I said, if you break out a regular box, and I'm just going to set it the X and Y to 100, that's the average size of the player character. Alright, give me a second, I'll do it. So yeah, that's the average size comparison when setting up doors and whatnot. Alright, let's see, we'll put it back to right there. Let's go back into play, and cannot walk through, but I can go into combat and crouch, and still can't go through because of the capsule. And the capsule we're talking about was character, go into our viewport, and it's this capsule that surrounds our character. You see, we've got about a foot of space above his head for that capsule. So, I mean, technically, if you were to adjust this number right here, the half height, to 92, we'll say, what's going to happen is that puts it closer to his head. Yeah, it's not adjusting the capsule whenever you're crouching. If you set it to, or just set it to 82 instead of 92. See, it was up at 96, and well, let's do it at 85, just to show an example. Now his feet are not inside there, so I'm going to compile that, go back in, and look what's happened to my feet. They're sticking through the ground now. So that's your level of collision. So I need to go back in here, and I'm going to set that back to 92. And go back in here again. My feet are still sticking through. What was my original one? This is why I did not delete my third person one, because I just made a copy of it. The original capsule is 96. That's what I thought. So capsule, we're going to put it back to 96. Compile and save, go back in. When we play, our feet are not sticking through the ground. I'm always game for cool stuff. So yeah, it's the actual capsule. All right. Oh, I don't know what you're saying. Crouch and uncrouch. Target his character. And uncrouch. So technically then you're saying that to ignore this and run that. Actually, oh yeah, I guess I could. under character movement. Where was that one at? Yeah, this is messing with your character movement. You can actually set up things like your walk speed, run speed, make adjustments to that. Use separate braking. Well, you know what? That's what you have a search block for, right? If you've never used that search button, it's handy because I'm sitting here looking for something in specific that I couldn't find right off the bat. And, you know, if you want to sit here and go through everything and try to figure out where it is, it's so much easier if you're trying to find crouch. It's under movement capabilities. So you come back over here, and I've already selected it. But instead of trying to go through everything and try to figure out where it is, just use that search block. It makes life so much easier. But there's a lot of different options you can look over. So, yeah, the crouch walk speed, there's your can crouch right there. Can fly. Well, you know, I might want to fly later. So then you can come back and adjust your speeds. Crouch to half height. Collision. So that's where, right there, it's saying your collision or your crouch half height. It sets your capsule collision then to your, with your capsule component. What he's saying here to set it to be visible or not hidden in game. Compile and save. Now we'll go in here and play. You can see the dark burgundy lines are on the outside. That's that capsule we're talking about. So we go in our combat mode. It doesn't change, but when we go to crouch, see, it just jumped right down to where it's so much smaller. And now you can actually crouch and go through that. Or if you wanted to crouch and, well, doing that way, I can no longer jump. John, you've killed my jump. And my capsule has stayed the same. It did not go back. Capsule stays at half height, and let's see. Looks like my viewport is there. But crouch button down, set crouch and uncrouch. But what happened is, yeah, but it wouldn't go back up, and it wouldn't allow me to jump. Once I did it one time, so go in here, I can run around, I can jump, everything is working just fine. I go into combat mode, I can still run around and jump. As soon as I crouch, it sets the capsule to that size, but I can no longer jump while I'm crouched. And if I go out of combat mode or I uncrouch, I have to manually uncrouch. Whereas before, with it set up, it's working, but I can't jump whenever I'm crouched. So if I just go back out of it, by right clicking, it's not setting my capsule back. So if I hit C again to uncrouch, then I can get my jump back, and it works in all fashions. So a little bug there and probably a quick fix to that as well. The capsule is fine. You can crouch, but you cannot jump while you're crouched now. And I'm stuck on the edge there. But I can come back out of combat mode. It doesn't reset it. Yeah, it just involves a little bit of extra code. So now what's happening is whenever I right click to come out of it, then what I need to do is where I have this uncrouch, I need to add the uncrouch to here. So right clicking to go back in unarmed, you can just add in uncrouch and force it to become that way. Yeah, it's a nice setting to have. I like my players to be able to fall off. It's so much more fun, especially when we're shooting them with a rocket launcher and making them fall off. I want people to fall to their deaths. It probably wouldn't hurt to throw it here as well, off of both of them. So no matter what, whenever you right click, it's going to force you back out of the uncrouch mode. And so now if I come in here and I crouch, I hit the C button, and it's going to the half height size. So then again, to prevent that from happening, you're going to end up having to create more work by adding another variable. Well, crouch button down. You're setting it down. So you want to prevent it from crouching, because we can't crouch when we're unarmed. And let's see here. We can do unarmed question mark. I'll just grab that and get a branch node. I'm doing all this backwards here, but so whenever we hit this, we want to actually come in here, check to see if we are unarmed, and if we are not unarmed, then yeah, combat mode, unarmed. You can choose either way and set up a variable to work either way. So right now I'm asking, is it? Yeah. When you start trying to get more complicated with things to make bug squashes, to make things more effective, you're going to end up learning and loving variables so much, because you have to keep thinking, well, how do I prevent it from doing that? So I need to ask, am I unarmed? If yes, then yeah, you can't do shit with crouching. But if you're not unarmed, then that's cool. So then we can come over here with this stuff, and we can actually drag these out just so we can add that in there. And I'm going to hold down the alternate key, left click, and drag that in here and get a set node for my unarmed. And I'm just going to do that again just for shits and grins. I'm going to throw it in there. So whenever I click it the first time, then this is going to be true on this side. I'm setting it to false, essentially saying I'm no longer unarmed. But if I right click again, I'm saying that I am unarmed, and I'm probably getting my own self confused here. So now if I hit C, it's still doing it. Never mind, I'm confusing my own self here. Hit C. Oh, well, we want to go ahead and set that to true, just like you were saying there, just because we want it to be. Okay, now we're unarmed, so I can't do this. Now when I right click, I am, so I can crouch. But if I right click to get back out of it, it takes me back out of it manually. Sets me back into it. So now it works the way it should be. You see the jump height. You can actually change your jump height. I like to have the lower jump height here because being able to jump, yes, there are plenty of people out there that can actually jump straight up 6 feet onto a box, doing box jumps. Hell, I can't have a hard time jumping out of my damn chair. So there we go. So you can get around a little bit of everything here. So I can't get out, so I need to go ahead and crouch and get out the door. I like my solution better. Just move the fucking door frame away from the damn stairs just a few feet, and now you can just walk right through and don't have to worry about it. Hell of a lot simpler than spending 20 minutes rewriting part of your blueprint. Damn you, John. See, getting me all worked up here. I spend way too much time behind this computer messing with these things anyway. But yeah, the simple solution, move your door frame a few feet away from the damn stairs. Or you can go through and set up your blueprint to be the way it should be, to where you can ask questions and refine things a whole lot better. And I'm going to do this. Since this is combat mode, we're going to see combat mode. And yeah, on average, I'm here 10 to 12 hours every day. I've been up to 22 hours at one sitting. So we're just going to make it red because we know it's special. Jump. You know, you can color all these things based on what you want. Anything combat related I usually put as red. Anything that's movement wise is green. Well, hopefully I get my people to kick out a few bucks here soon. I can hire on some professional staff. Jump, that's a movement thing. So I can come over here. Actually, I didn't have to select it. I can just click there. And I'm going to make it green. Same thing with this one. Now, to make sure I get the same color green, I can click on this one, click on the green that I used here, and just grab that, drag it up here, set that to OK. Same thing with the red. I'm going to use that red quite a bit, so I'm just going to drag it up there. So now when I come over here, all I got to do is click there, and here, and good. Crouching, that's a movement thing, so I'm going to make that green. And same thing with the mouse input. It's a movement kind of deal, so I'm going to make it green. So you can quickly look. Combat is red, green for movement stuff. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be able to throw some bucks out here. I need to get some people working on some other stuff here. Because I'm trying to put together this project, and I'm rebuilding how I want my entire combat system to work and how my animations are dealt with and stuff like that. But everything's working along pretty good. This was the biggest thing that I wanted to cover on this video here. Was just showing how to set up the basics of getting some movement and stuff for your characters. If you do decide to get the Polygon City, there's one thing you do have to remember. You go into their demonstration map. And first off, there's not going to be a player start. No, don't save it. I don't care about that map. It's a cool map. Like I said, I use these for my my demos. Pretty cool. But there is no player starts. Not a big deal. You don't have to worry about it, but I'm going to go ahead and put a player start in here. Put it on the sidewalk. I'm going to turn it around so I can face this way, and I'm going to hit play. Well, first off, I didn't give it a game mode, so I'm going to go ahead and tell it to be third-person game mode, just to be on the safe side. So there we go. And I didn't turn off my capsule. Let's do that too. And when look at our capsule, hidden in game, compile, save, close, play, left click because that stupid mouse bug. So, map's awesome. You can walk out here, take a look. Everything is awesome. As soon as you walk in the goddamn street, there's no collision on the damn street. Any of the road textures or tiles, and they're individual tiles. None of the road textures have collisions whatsoever. So as soon as you walk in the game and you take one step off of the sidewalk, your ass is done. I'm going to click on that car. I'm going to hit F and I'll zoom up and get a little bit closer. So, quick fix. You end up having to go into the meshes, which is in meshes, environments, and then you have to go into it. If you look at the collisions, there is no simple collision. There isn't one. Obviously, because we fell through the damn thing. We show complex collisions. And we can see that if we do any kind of collision, I mean, there is none. There's none applied to it right now. So if you go to collision, you've got some options you can work with here. If you had a simplified box collision, what'll happen is it overlaps. And, you know, UE4 with its overlap and stuff. So let's remove collision. Go back to collision one more time. Let's try 18D, and I don't actually see it doing anything. You know, worst case scenario, and it's probably not the best way to do it, is you come right over here, and I'm going to minimize all this other stuff that I'm not using at the moment, and look at collision. It's set to block all, but it doesn't mean anything. Unless perhaps they had the geometry set wrong way, but short-term fix, so you can just get in here and play around, is you change that over. So you have to go through each and every single one of these. Go to collision complexity, use complex collision as simple. Again, probably not the best way to do it, but you know what, if you're in a hurry, you want to do it quickly, you want to get into your map and play, go for it. Otherwise, you're going to have to experiment with the different types of collisions to figure out which one's going to be the best one overall, so you can actually turn on the collision that way. Or there's probably another shorter way to doing it. Yeah. What I find is most of the time while I'm doing tedious crap like this, is I'm usually watching a YouTube video anyway, so I'm half-ass paying attention. So I know that once I do this one time, it's done. It doesn't take but a couple minutes. That and usually drinking my soda or looking for my damn e-cig, which is on charge right now. Yeah, I mean, you could select them all. Remove British colors, yeah. Level of detail. And asset actions. This is usually where I go for export and bulk export, but LOD group, collision. It just says customize collision. It's the only thing it's got underneath there. Yes, that's the only thing it's got is the customized collision. Yeah, fiddling with this, it could have already been, could have been done doing it my way. It's slower, but it gets the damn job done. You know, nav collisions, static mesh, body setup. Yeah, right here, collision complexity. And let's see. It grabbed one extra one that we didn't have to do, but so now once you've changed the collisions on them, you can run through here, and now you don't fall through the damn ground anymore. So one of the ones done the other way was the parking lot, which I think is right around this corner here. Once you spend enough time on this map goofing around, especially with the shooter pack. And some other things that I like to do in here also is this one, this ditch piece right here, or this trench piece, where the thing's actually being worked on. Is that one over there? And then there's one over on this side. Yes, I remember where these tiles are on the map. And see, this is another thing that bugs me, is it needs to be addressed in here in the collision on these, because I can't step up over that. I've got to jump over it. So you'll have to add the collision on those. And again, it's easy enough to do, but so this one, if you walk across it, you're standing hovering in the air, and that bugs me. So I just come over here and I change this one as well to a complex collision. Then there was that grass path one, which is up here. This one, to prevent tripping over that, you can change collision to the 26D, save that, and now when you come in here, it should help with that. So now whenever you come over here and walk up, you can just walk right into it. You don't actually have to jump anymore. It still hangs you up right here for some reason, so you really have to play around with the collisions on a couple things. But like I said, with the quality of everything else that's in these asset packs, yeah, and I've made the cars drivable at some point. I'm probably going to add a little bit more on the jump height. So you see, like this Camaro is white with red stripes, and that Crown Vic is blue, and this police car is white with a blue stripe, but this is a red Crown Vic. The same Crown Victoria, or the same car, you've got 4 different textures for each one. So when you're creating the blueprint for it, or you're putting it out here on the map, it's like this Camaro here. Click on it, click on details, and you've got the material here. You can click on the material, change that to a different color. So you can swap colors around. Same thing with the Crown Vic. Grab it, change it. There's red. There's white. So you can change the colors around, kind of mix and match. Same thing with all the vehicles, and even the police cars. You can change the texture on the police car. Just by changing that texture right there. Well, I'll say that, but it's making a liar out of me. There we go. So you got black and white there. Plus you've got the vehicles that are from the Polygon Heist, if you've gotten both packs. And what I've found is if you're converting these cars here over, setting up the locations and the names of the wheels are not a really big issue. But for some reason, these guys don't want to cooperate. The police car from here and the SWAT van, they just don't want to cooperate with quickly converting them over to be drivable. And I really have not spent any time on the helicopter, just because, well, I haven't spent any time with it. Yes, I'm just dragging the meshes in for right now, but there you go. Got a helicopter sitting on top of the hospital. Yes, it's a police helicopter. No, I don't care. So, would have been... I really need to look at the rigging and see if there's a way to make the blades spin. If the blades can spin, then maybe you can work on setting up as a flyable vehicle. I have not spent any time with the helicopter itself. Let's see what. Well, you got the blades. Yeah, all the sockets seem to be pretty much in the same places. You have a stick. That's all it's got is the location of the two sticks. And all the rest of them are still anchored in that one spot. It's not a bad thing, but you would have thought they would have had some motion for the blades. And I'm sure there are, but like I said, I don't really have the time to really work on making this helicopter try to do anything. I have actually applied like AI movement, put movement on the vehicles and made them patrol around. Had one that was set up to where he was driving around, running over, ragdolling the. Let's see. For blades, back and main. Let's try main. Yeah, not very well. I tried to rotate it, and it started rotating, but it also moved it. I didn't tell it to move, but just by rotating it this way, it's not rotating around the correct axis. So it just tells me that yeah, I didn't make these. I'm going to end up deleting this project anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So if I bring it up and down, you can see what happens there. So Control Z. Let's see what happens when we do the back one. Because see, the bone is actually there instead of up here where it should be. Hell, what happens if you rotate the whole helicopter? No problem. But when you go to grab the back blade and rotate, yeah. No bueno. Alright, Synty, you just lost some points with me on that one, but that's awesome. So you couldn't just add, that separately. Yeah, well, I think whenever they did the rigging for it, it's just rigged totally wrong. There is no rigging at all for it. So, I mean, you look at the skeleton, and you would think you'd be able to just move that, but as soon as you try to move it, you're moving the whole damn thing the wrong way. Because this, instead of being here, this should be up here inside the center of that hub. So whenever you go to actually rotate it, that should actually rotate around, and it does. It rotates around the axis of where the bone is located, and not with the actual center of the blade. I'm assuming you could probably export it and actually fix it somewhere else, but I would like to be able to have this thing fixed, so if nothing else, I could have this blade back here, and the main rotors actually spinning. But what's funny is the stick is in the right location. They got those right for something you're not even going to damn use. And who the hell's ever heard of a helicopter without a collective? Where's your collective? You got your stick, but where's that other little one you're supposed to move to fly the damn thing? That's why it's screwed up. It's missing that. So yeah, the main. can't just retarget it. I mean, that's... Let's see, options... Yeah, I mean, I like to spend a little bit of time with it sometime, just trying to get this thing to be fixed. Oh, retargeting options. See, I know how to do this, but I always forget. Um, and I've done it a dozen times to show the damn things. Yeah, I mean, I've done it 1,000 times. And then, so yeah, the main animation scaled. So what do you think would be the best option to run on there? The scaled? No, that one, animation scale didn't work. Not skeleton. We know animation didn't work. Yeah, that was the first one I tried was skeleton. Yeah, see, it's still off of that bottom bone location. It's rotating off of this position down here. Sad. Yeah. See, the retargeting manager is not going to help. Preview animation, well, there isn't one. Preview mesh, that's not going to help out any. Yeah, because you click up here, and it's, not going to the right bone here. It's going to the helicopter. That socket is right there. I mean, it is not like I can just sit here and just grab this and main, add a socket to it, and then work, damn you. And then there's nothing for me to assign there as a preview asset. Trying to fix the helicopter from Synty Studios asset pack. Hell, I'd have better luck strapping one of the characters up here, making it rotate. Yeah. So yeah, it needs to be exported and actually fixed. So, not that it's a critical thing, it's one of those things where it would be cool to have. So when you have your helicopter sitting over here, the blades work, or you could actually set it up to where you could actually fly the helicopter if you wanted to, with blades that actually work in it. But I don't like this green Camaro. We're going to change the color of that guy. Nope, don't like that yellow. Oh, don't really like that one. That's not bad, though. I'll leave that one that way. But yeah, I love these maps on here. You know, the whole focus of this video earlier was just setting up the animations so you can actually get in here and set them up and use them. Black van parked outside of a Chinese restaurant. Was it like the rape van or something there? Yeah, I didn't say that out loud, did I? So, cool maps. Yeah, I'll probably end up with the shooter demo that got set up. I'm going to do another review on it and go over it as well, because I'm going to disable the fall damage. I like having fall damage, but the way I had this map set up before with the older version of it, I had the launch pad set up. Let's actually go in here, hit play. So we're starting right here. I love my little launch pads. They're absolutely stupid, but for the new version of it, it's got elevators. So I've put elevators here and there so we can have fun with it because of the fall damage. But launch pads are such an easy thing to create, and I'm just stupid and like having goofy fun. So I'll go to my assets, blueprints, quickly create one, blueprint class, actor, launcher, put it up. We're going to add a cube. We're going to resize the cube to 2 by 2 by, oh you asshole, 2 by 2 by 0.1, and then we're going to set the height to 5 on the Z, and we're going to add a component which is a box collision, and we're going to change its scale to, no you asshole, click blue, 1.5 by 1.5 by, no, let's actually do 5, drag it up here. And this is how I've been ending my videos lately, is by setting up this launch pad. Set that up, go to my event graph, hey, these are lovely, go away, right click on my box, add event, begin overlap, cast to PC master. My sheet can fly. Yeah. Got to set up the helicopter and get it working correctly so it can fly around one of the maps. Maybe strap some guns to it and have some fun. So whenever the PC master steps across the box collision, we want to launch character, and just because I feel like getting high off of life, we're going to set it to 3,000. Little excessive, but I don't care. Target, oh no, is the ass master. Alright, grab our launcher, and I'm going to set it, I don't care, we're going to set it right here in the middle of the damn street. And play. Because, like I said, this is one of these sample projects that I'm going to create and then forget about. You know what? Forgot one thing. Because I like to sit here and bounce up and down and just be goofy as hell, I'm going to drag that out just a little bit. Delay for 1 second sounds lovely. That should be just enough time. Just enough time for what? Well, if I phase this way, the character is in the sun better. So, yep, that's the way I want to stand on it. There we go. So, yeah, this is how I've been ending my videos, is creating a launch pad and just jumping up and down. Alright, so, yeah, we've got some pretty simple stuff set up here. I'll tab out for just a second here, because YouTube is being a pain in the rump. I know it doesn't matter what I can see there. I can see it on OBS, but I like to make sure that the stream is still live. Current settings have me stuck in 720p right now, but I have 0 drop frames, so that works for me. We also have a little bit lower frame rate than I'd like, averaging around 20 FPS for this video. I was at 30 FPS, but I lost those original settings. Alright, just want to thank everybody for hopping in here and checking this out and having a little bit of fun, just kind of goofing around. I will see about trying to export that helicopter and see what we can do to fix that, the rigging on it, but not a huge priority. I'm looking to try to get some people to kick in to pay for the other 2 asset packs from Synty Studios. Really looking forward to getting the War Pack and the Western Pack. If we do get them, both of them will be in the game, and both of them will be set up to work correctly, and I will definitely be working on the tanks, get those operational, the ships, get those operational, and we'll also get to making the airplanes work as well. So thank everybody for watching, thank everybody for joining. So I'm going to go ahead and kick out of this video and take a break for a little bit. Alright, we'll see you in the next video, guys.